Hello folks, and welcome back to Medieval Total War. I am Conostip, and this is going to be part 7 of my early campaign where I'm playing as England. And in this episode, I reckon that there's a pretty fair chance that I will be sending off my first crusade. In Mercia here, I'm going to begin building the chapter house in this very turn. It's going to take 4 turns before this is finished, and then I can start building the first crusade marker, which is going to take another 4 turns. So 8 turns from now, I should be ready to send my first crusade, and I don't want to wait any further than that. So the fact that I have only 3,000 in my treasury is a little bit, yeah, I don't know if that's enough. Because the thing is that I'm going to be wanting to send a bunch of mercenaries on this crusade. I want to try my best to leave my standing armies as intact as possible, and then sending my mercenaries. Now, mercenaries are known, well, they are, first off, their training costs or their hiring costs is half the cost of normal training costs. So hiring them is pretty nice, but their upkeep is double. So having their upkeep when a unit is in a crusade, their upkeep is 0. All upkeep is free for units that are in crusades. So that's perfect for mercenaries. However, once that mercenary or once that crusade once that crusade actually completes its objective, that all of that upkeep gets on the books, for that army. So it's a little bit scary, but you do have, a few turns to enjoy that free upkeep essentially, while that army is marching across the map. So I want to have enough money in my treasury by the end of that 8 turns to hire up a bunch of mercenaries. For instance, here in Flanders, I could be hiring up all of this stuff. And in other places, there isn't as many options. Anjou, there's just like one option. Aquitaine, there's just a few other options here or there, but Flanders is where most of it's at now. In 8 turns, is that going to change? I bet it will. So I'm just got to cross my fingers and hope that there's going to be enough mercenaries to hire up. Obviously, there will be men that are, spawned with the crusade itself. And then there will be more men joining the crusade as it marches through Catholic territory. So it's not just about what I can provide. It's going to be provided with more men on the way as well. But I still, got to try to balance this a little bit. In addition to that, I also want to balance the fact that I want to get my trade networks going. I will be starting the building of a shipwright here in Aquitaine. And I'm already building a shipwright here in Wessex. And I think I'm going to call it at that for now. Building boats from 2 provinces, although not ideal, it's going to be a decent little start. Will I balance the fact that I'm going to be sending a crusade? That's going to cost money. I think that costs like 1,000 florins to send that crusade. You basically need to pay the Pope to give you permissions to do it, I think is the idea. Is it always the same? I don't really know, I suppose. I guess I'll find out, but yeah, it's also a bit tricky, the timing, because on that turn that the crusade, you launch that crusade, and then it marches, my crusade's going to be launched from Mercia. And this is a good province because it's safe from attack. And that way, again, I can't remember if I've mentioned this, but crusade markers and chapter houses get destroyed immediately when a province is invaded. Even if you still have a garrison inside of that settlement, the religious buildings and the administrative buildings will get destroyed automatically. And that counts as a failed crusade, just for a crusade marker being destroyed, essentially. And that counts for lost influence for my king. So that's a very dangerous thing. Having a crusade marker spawn from a province that's not on your front line is a smart idea, but it's a little bit tricky because that crusade's then going to have to march through your own territory before it gets to other factions' territories. That means that you will be hoovering up the troops from your own territories. So the way to do this, I think, is to basically move troops out of my territories in the same turn that the crusade is going to be moving to that territory. Now, for Wessex, that's not a big deal. It's also not a frontier province. But then for Flanders, that means moving out this entire army into Normandy. And then on that turn that the crusade comes into Flanders. Now, I've always worried about factions taking advantage of that and then attacking that province. But I think that the idea is that during that end turn phase, for instance, if the French were to try to attack Flanders because I've just removed a big part of my force, and then they see that there's a crusade there, they have to decide in that moment, are you going to impede a crusade? And if they do, they get excommunicated immediately. And they are not already excommunicated, are they not? That would be... Yeah, these would be like broken crosses, I believe. You can also tell... Yeah, you would see it down here. Like that indicate... It's kind of hard to tell, actually. But yeah, that Catholic cross there indicates that they are Catholic. And can you show it, for instance? Yeah, like that's an Orthodox symbol. You can see there it's a little different. And then obviously the Muslims have that moon-shaped symbol as well. And I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. Like what? It's a broken cross for the excommunicated factions, I believe. So anyway, yeah, they're not excommunicated at this moment, but then they would be if they decided to actually fight my crusade. I don't know if the AI is programmed to always make way for crusades. I feel like they always do. But yeah, I don't know. Would they ever be so bold to block a crusade? I don't know. Let me know if you've ever experienced that. I would hope that they don't, because I just want to be able to march through this territory and make it to the Middle East untouched, essentially, would be preferable. So that would allow me to move my troops from Flanders into Normandy and then, you know, not lose any strength from this, because it can be a considerable amount, like really. Like it chunks down the men. You know, they can lose 20 men per unit. More, maybe. I don't know, depending on the zeal. 64%? Yeah, they would be losing a considerable chunk of men from each of these units. They would all need to be trained up. I mean, heck, just from that loss of men could give the French, you know, reason to think that they could win a battle in Flanders, for instance. So it's the timing's a little bit tricky. And that kind of also means that whatever units that I'm going to be sending on that crusade basically need to be in Mercia in that very turn that the crusade is launched, I guess. So that they can just be put right into the crusade in that turn and not have any of those units from that army get hoovered up. I had that a moment like where I was bringing units to like meet up the crusade on the way, I feel like, during a practice campaign, where I moved the crusade and the units into a province on that same turn, thinking like, hey, this turn's not over. I can kind of like merge the two armies essentially in the next turn or something. Yeah, but it doesn't work like that. The armies that you're trying to like, the units that you're trying to send into crusade, if they share the same province with that crusade for one turn, they're just going to get hoovered up no matter what. So you definitely want them to be in that province and that turn that the crusade is initially sent. So the timing can be a little bit tricky here. So looking at things, in that last episode, I was starting to send out some fearedmen, so like I could have some like not basic, but like some decent spearmen in my armies, which is something that I lacked. I paid for that, like literally, because I was making probably around 1,700 per turn for most of the last episode. But then once I started to train those fearedmen, the upkeep did go up. They are expensive. 100 men is a lot of bellies to feed, and that I paid for it. Yeah, I'm losing like 400 florins, or making 400 florins less than I was in the last episode. So now that I've like brought down, I kind of called it at like 2 fearedmen per 4 of the 4 border armies, and now I'm thinking, you know what? Let's like bring up a few more fearedmen to be in that army and you know, that crusade army. So I'm probably going to be bringing these guys right back. Like, in fact, like my army camp, like this is too many archers. I don't need 5. You know, I was kind of going like 3, 3, and 3 for urban militia archers and hobblers. And so, for instance, I could bring up 2 of these archers and 1 of these beardmen up to Mercia to join that crusade. And then looking around for other extras, basic spearman is tempting, or just send the 2 fearedmen, or leave 1 fearedman and then send 1 and send 1 basic spearman to the crusade. That's another option here. This is my heir, and this is my only heir. Prince Richard, I believe, is... trying to remember. He is... This... So my new king, King William III, is actually a son of the previous king. It's just that he was quite old when he took the throne. So it's a little confusing. I'm pretty sure Prince Richard is his son, I think. Now, King William III, his influence is not super duper great. His stats are also not super duper great. He does have some decent traits when it comes to giving his army better morale, like Gentle Knight and Natural Leader is pretty good. It's a pretty good combination, honestly. However, his son leaves a lot to be desired. Prince Richard, but he's alive, and that's what's important. I need him to be alive and of age when his father dies. There are other uncles that are, potential options as well. Quite a few of them, in fact, but yeah, we're just going to be hoping that Prince Richard can get his shit together. Now, with that in mind, I probably shouldn't. I was thinking about sending Prince Richard down to Aquitaine just so that this army can have 2 units of Royal Knights and rather than 1. But now I'm thinking, you know what? That's a little bit exposed. Having my king in the thick of things right here in Anjou is already kind of like exposed. But then like having both of the 2 lifelines of my entire campaign, if they were stationed in my 2 most exposed provinces, that's a little bit scary. So I'm thinking instead about sending Richard back to Flanders just so that he can basically be underneath his uncle, Prince Henry. Yeah, and you are much more competent. But that way, if they get into a fight in Flanders that's not ideal, Prince Richard could maybe just get back to Wessex and retreat. It's not just going to be the death of this campaign. So that's going to be the idea there, sending him back to Flanders. And then, yeah, I'm going to be looking at sending, again, probably one of these Fearmen can go back to Mercia. I don't need to start moving them just this moment. I can kind of hang on to them into their respective provinces for a little while, just because it's going to be 8 turns before I'm sending this crusade. So, for instance, down here in Aquitaine, it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns. So in 3 turns, I can start the journey for these 2 archers and this 1 Feardman. And I can kind of go based off of that. Just so that there's a handful of units joining that crusade, as well as the crusade units themselves, and as well as the mercenaries. So, in fact, there are mercenaries. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that as well here in Aquitaine. I probably don't need a mangonel to join this crusade, just because I don't like mangonels are the highest tier of the non-gunpowder artillery pieces. They're very, very strong. They're something that can basically go up against castles and maybe citadels. Maybe citadels. Yeah, I don't know. Probably citadels. I'm not completely sure on that, but yeah, they're very strong artillery pieces. Not necessary at this stage of the campaign. I guess we can't see anything, but in the Middle East, I think we're mostly just seeing forts. The Egyptians don't start with anything higher than that. At tops, there's going to be a keep. I'm going to be going for Antioch, by the way, if you didn't know. If I didn't say that. But at tops, there's a keep, and I don't need a mango now to get into a keep. But yes, I will have to keep an eye on the mercenaries and try to see when I need to hire them up. Flanders is the ideal spot just because it is closer to Mercia. That means only 2 turns of paying that upkeep before I can get rid of their upkeep by putting them inside of the Crusade army. If it's going to be a little awkward if I have to hire, if a bunch of mercenaries all of a sudden become available here in Aquitaine, and then I have to pay that upkeep for 5 freaking turns as they move up to Mercia, that's gonna hurt a lot. So I'm thinking that for the next 8 turns, let's be pretty stingy with what I spend money on so that I can save up a little bit of a war chest is kind of what I'm thinking. So for this turn, yeah, I got 3,300 in the treasury, spending 400 on a shipwright seems fine. And then you're building a keep, you're building a keep, you're building a keep, you're building the curtain wall for a keep. So I like that. You're 1 turn away from having a completed shipwright. Nice, I like that. You're building a chapter house. I think that's 500. Correct. So that's 900 total being spent out of that 3,300. You're building a keep. You're building a keep. You're not building anything. So I could start building a keep, but you know what? Let's just hang tight on that. That's not, building all of these keeps so that I can build a bunch of shipwrights so that I can build boats faster. That is the goal for that. But let's just you know, once the upkeep for that Crusade army units, once that's all free, then we can like start spending money again on shipwrights. And the nice thing is that they're cheaper than keeps. So like I can just start pumping those out. The boats are going to be a bit more expensive. I think the tier 1s are going to be 700 if my memory serves. I think it's 700 florins per bark, which is the tier 1 Catholic boat. The Mediterranean factions get cheaper options like galleys and dromons, but unfortunately we do not get those options. So I think that we're going to be hanging tight here. Now you are searching for yes, we're trying to get the Aragonese princess to become the wife of my newly of-aged Prince Richard. So we will see if he succeeds in that. It was actually suggested to me by a viewer that it would be a good idea to me, considering that the Aragonese are my allies, and there's a good chance that they're going to be wanting to get back Navarre because they have lost it. In fact, in this battle, I believe it was where they lost their Aragonese, their previous king. Yeah, this guy's 21, so he lost his dad to the Navarre rebels here. And to gain some influence for my king, what I could do is I could attack Navarre in the hopes that the Aragonese would join in. And by assisting in that battle, I would be gaining some influence. You know what? Does that only work if you're aiding them in a siege battle? Like if one of their like if they were under siege, for instance, and if I were to like relieve them of that siege? Or does that work anytime you fight side by side with an ally? Because I thought it was only if you relieved a siege. In any case though, regardless of what the answer is, I think I'm going to be playing this one a little bit safer, just because Aquitaine is my furthest province. It's the and Toulouse is kind of like the beefiest French armies. So this is where I really want to try to keep things locked down and not try to extend myself into a fight that it's a good idea. I like it, but you know, to potentially gain another point of influence or two for my king, I don't know if that's going to be super duper worth it. You are not going to be king for very long. Also, another mistake I was making in that last episode, where he became the king, and then I was having loyalty issues in Wales and Scotland, and I was like, what the heck? Why is it? I didn't think that influence did that. I was just being dumb. I don't know why my brain does this sometimes. Obviously, it's because he has Zero Dread. Like, duh. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what my brain was doing. Also, the fact that the previous king had the great builder traits and the builder trait. I don't think he gained the builder trait until he was king for a little while. Typically, that's how that works. So, yeah, losing the builder trait, that's losing 10 happiness in all provinces. That's losing loyalty for all generals. Is the great builder trait is the one that grants loyalty to all generals. So, yeah, obviously that was the reason. Like, not the influence. I don't know what my brain was doing. One other, I was looking at someone that I might want to send on crusade as a general. Now crusades, I think that typically do come with generals. In fact, how's my zeal here? Zeal in Mercia is 63%, so that might be a fair, decent crusade. Zeal in the starting provinces of the crusades also does matter. It's not just the provinces that crusades move through. I did determine this with jihads in my last campaign where I was playing as Egypt, that yes, the zeal of provinces does determine the not the effectiveness, but the quality of the units. So hopefully this means we're going to be getting some knights. That would be nice. That would be very, very nice, because the knights that are available with crusades are equivalent of chivalric knights, which is the tier 2 knight. They're amazing. Actually, no, technically, is that tier 3? Because you can train royal knights from a keep level building, and then the feudal knights are trained from a castle level building, and then the chivalric knights are trained from a citadel level building. So technically that's a tier 4, but you can't train knights from a tier 1. You get what I'm saying? They're very, very freaking good. it's a quality of unit that I would not have access to until much later in this campaign. So launching crusades as a Catholic faction just to get a handful of those, world beaters is kind of probably worth it. Probably worth it, honestly, just for that. All right, I think other than that, Princess over here, she's hanging out. She's just keeping an eye on things over here for me, just seeing how things are shaking out. Yeah, Egypt is doing pretty well, I think. They're actually fighting the Turks and the Byzantines. Yes, yes, they are. And they have no allies. So I'm going to be kind of like the great equalizer here, trying to push back the Egyptians and trying to give the Turks and the Byzantines a bit of breathing room. That would be better for me, rather than letting Egypt get super duper strong. It would be better if I was able to kind of save the other two factions so that there's a bit more interplay between the three factions instead of just me versus Egypt, Luckily, a lot of peasants here. So it's curious that they're doing this well, but I think that Egypt typically does field a lot of peasants when they're played by the AI, but yeah, it's weird. I know, based on my experience, I know that the Egyptian tier 1 armies are pretty weak. There's not a lot of options when it comes to killing power. You get camels, you get Nubian spears, which are a good spear unit. Desert archers, which is a good archer unit. And then camels, and then urban militia. That's basically what you have for tier 1 units. Yeah, it's not a lot of options there. Their roster really opens up once they get into the tier 2. Once they get into the keep units, then they can start fielding some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, tier 1, it's kind of rough for Egypt. Luckily, they are super duper rich, so they don't have to worry about it too much. But yes, if you're going to be aggressive as Egypt, you have to fight with those tier 1 armies if you're going to be blitzing in the early part of the campaign, and the AI somehow makes it work. I feel like if the battles were not auto-resolved, I feel like the Turkish horse archers would just demolish peasants, these peasant hordes. But since it's all auto-resolve, it's peasants will beat the horse archers. All right, fine, I guess. Let's just keep moving you around. She's still young, 24, so I'm going to try to bring her home to marry her off to someone else, whether it's another faction or whether it's one of my generals. Hopefully, I'm going to, not waste her life. That's too cynical. That's not. That's too cynical. That's a harsh way to put it. But yeah, I'm going to try to not waste her. I think that taxes are pretty good, except for Wales and Scotland are the two places. Wales, can I raise this a little bit? Yeah, sure, why not? Northumbria, you're doing okay. And Scotland, sure. It's over 100%. That should be fine. We'll keep trying to make as much money as we can. Making 1365. I'll take it. And yeah, we're going to be, let's move down these units just a little bit here. Again, it seems kind of pointless because I will be moving a lot of these spearmen right back to Mercia, but we may as well spread them out for now. Just so that we have good coverage, for a few turns before we move them all back. Yeah, that's fine. And, we can, yes. Oh, okay. I almost forgot. Highland clansmen I can train just from a fort here in Scotland. Unlike the Celtic warriors in Wales, which I'd need a swordsmith, which is a tier 2 building, so I'm on the way, I'm getting there. But the Highland clansmen, what's your upkeep? For 22, And construction cost is 100 florins. Jesus Christ. I might just send a bunch of Scots to in my first crusade. Yeah. I mean, they should be fine. They're lightly armored. They're kind of made for it, which is kind of ironic because, don't know how similar Scotland is to the Middle East. Probably not similar at all. But they should make good fighters in the desert just because of the low armor. And they're good fighters. Yeah, they are. So, Gosh, do I just start training them? Do I need 8 units of Highland clansmen? Probably not. Probably not. I do want to build this up as much as I can. Gosh, 100 florins is so cheap, though. That's so cheap. I will probably aim for 4 units of Highland clansmen in my initial crusade. gosh, 100 florins is so cheap though. That's very tempting just to like start trading them now, get 8 of them and send 8 of them in my crusade. It's very, very tempting, but if there's still a pile of mercenaries available in Flanders in 8 turns, I really want to be able to get all of them. Khwarezmian cavalry, Byzantine cav, the fact that I'm not, Italian infantry, Bulgarian brigands, like the fact that I'm not going to just hire all of these guys right now hurts me. So I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope that this is all still there in 8 turns. It's not, but you know, I can dream, can't I? Oh man, okay, so the Turks have been eliminated. This is just the first end turn of this episode. That's it for them. Well, luckily in this game there is reemergences. I don't think I've discussed that yet in this campaign. Shipwright is finished here in Wessex, perfect. The Curtained Wall is finished in Flanders, Keep is finished in Brittany, and Honorable Warrior John Courtney. +1 morale, -1 dread. Okay, is he? Are you just the peasant garrison there? I thought that was indicating someone in Wessex. Jesus, one loyalty ain't good. Oh, it's here. Okay. Oh, man, you're an interesting man for a peasant. Okay. What just happened? Oh yeah, the Turks died. So, okay. So, I don't think I've discussed reemergences, and I know that a lot of you already know about this, but for those of you who are new to this game and new to this channel, reemergences is like the coolest goddamn thing in this game. It's a way to make factions reappear after they've died. The thing is that heirs are tracked, even when factions are eliminated. What I mean by that is underage heirs are still tracked. They're still in the background. They've gone underground. They're hiding. They're being taken in by neighboring royal courts perhaps, and they're biding their time and they're waiting until they become of age so that they can potentially lead a rebellion, and that will be the faction reemergence. What that means is that, for one thing, we have no visibility on what those heirs are. We don't see that. There's no way to know. You just have to assume that they might be around in the background. The way to make a faction reemergence happen is that it needs to be a province that was previously owned by that faction, and that the loyalty of that province needs to be underneath 120%. You heard me right. Not under 100%. It's under 120%, which is that's a fair barrier. You know, that's a little tricky, you know. As we just saw in that last turn in Scotland, I was looking at like 107% being like, okay, I'll squeeze out a few more florins, you know. Same thing in Wales, right? 108% instead of, like 120. So like once you create that 120% as a barrier, that can be kind of tough to abide by. And the AI is also hard for them sometimes. So in Rum, they're fine. 159% loyalty, they're fine. The Egyptian Sultan is here, and they just have a beefy buttload of peasants. But if like we go to Armenia and see what's going on over there, there might be some issue. Oh, let's go to Trebizond. I want to see what's going on in Trebizond. And what do they have here? So they have a keep in Rum. They have a boyar's workshop, siege engineer, royal palace, approved government. Okay. But yeah, let's keep looking around and see what the chances are of a Turkish reemergence happening. I really want it to happen. I like to try to manufacture them myself. I think they're just super awesome. I don't like how in Rome Total War, when factions die, they just die, and that's the end of it. It makes it so that towards like the mid game and like maybe the late game, it ends up being kind of a really boring map just because it's just a couple like super factions left on the map. Whereas here, like, a reemergence can be absolutely huge. And what's really cool is it doesn't have to be their like quote unquote home territories. So like what we see very often is that crusading factions that get destroyed and eliminated, like the French and the Germans are typically the ones that crusade, they will take provinces on their path, not permanently. They are just passing through, and other armies, other factions will just give way in their path because crusade armies are typically quite big. So a French army might temporarily hold on to Bulgaria. Then if later on, if the French faction gets eliminated, you can end up having a Bulgarian French Empire, which is wild. It's like super cool. And that can happen for anyone. You can have like a steppe Turkish reemergence, you know, because they might have had a presence up there at one point. And a lot of these territories could end up going back to them, or they could end up just getting like one territory. Reemergence armies are quite huge as well, so they can end up taking over their part of the map, depending on how strong the neighboring factions are. It's a really, really cool thing, and it's just too bad that it wasn't included in Rome. I don't know. I don't know if it's in medieval too. I sure hope it is, but I don't know off the top of my head. Now that the shipwright is finished here in Wessex, I can start building my first tier barks. And yes, they are indeed 700 florins. It takes 3 turns. That's 3 years to build a bark. It's a little ridiculous. So one thing to compare the two games, I do like how in Rome it only does take 1 turn to build boats. That's just a really refreshing thing, you know. It just makes the game a little bit faster. Yeah, 3 turns is brutal, and that's the same thing for artillery. It takes like 2 or 3 turns for artillery pieces in this game. It's like, come on, it doesn't take 2 years to build a catapult. Freaking A, you know. Anyway, bark. The bark is a small single-masted sailing vessel suitable only for short voyages across shallow waters, but it is cheap and easy. To build. Away from land, a heavy swell could sink a bark. The crew is few in number and unlikely to mount a very effective boarding action. So board cost is going to be 20, and then the attack of 1, defensive 2, speed of 3. So the speed of 3 is going to be nice. It's going to help keep it away from enemy ships, and it's only going to be able to go to coastal regions. Now, here's the thing. Coastal regions are most regions. You see, any region that borders land is considered coastal. That's including the North Atlantic because it borders Ireland, and it even does touch Scotland as well. That's coastal. So like there's only 3 regions on the entire map that are deep sea regions. That's the Atlantic Ocean. As you can see, it does not border land. Then you're going to get the Western Mediterranean, and then Central Mediterranean. Yeah. Those are the only 3 sea regions that are considered deep sea regions. And you're going to need the tier 2 boats to access those regions. So the nice thing with the coastal region boats is that they can go pretty much everywhere. And they will do the job until you get access to the tier 2s. So this is the one thing that I'm going to be spending money on basically until the crusade marker is available. I think it's worth getting going on this, considering that it does, you know, take 3 turns. Yes, I think it's time to get some boats in the water, because I'm going to want some form of an economy built up by the time that I'm paying the upkeep of those men once they've taken Antioch. If they take Antioch, but then I can't even afford to build anything in Antioch because I'm just broke, and I can't even afford to send another crusade because I'm broke, that's going to really suck. So I think I need to really balance, these 2 things here. So yeah, getting some boats going. What would be the fastest way to make money? There's 2 ports I could trade with over here in Skagerrak and the Baltic. And then after that, it's going to be about getting... Oh yeah, I can also trade with this port here in Friesland. So that's 3 ports I could trade with. And just by having... Let's see, I have trade goods here in Mercia and Northumbria. And Wessex as well. Do you guys have... Okay, so you guys have wool, so I would not be trading wool with them because they don't need wool, right? So Mercia and Wessex would not be making any money for trading with Friesland, but Friesland does not have saltfish, which is available here in Northumbria. What about Normandy? You don't have any. Flanders, wool, but then, yeah, silk and grain also would be traded to Friesland. And then Brittany has linen. Yes, cool. And then down here in Aquitaine, it's going to be wine. Okay. So getting like a boat, let's see, I want to do like 1 boat, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Just so that Aquitaine can trade with these places as well. And then start moving down here. Costa Verde, Spanish coast, got a couple more ports I can trade with. And yeah, then it's going to be like a bit of a stretch. I kind of get a few more boats, 1, 2, 3, 4, until we start making money again. And then this is going to be the real money maker. The Ligurian Sea It's going to be very nice getting 4 ports available. So it's going to be a bit of a spend, but I will be building boats in Aquitaine and Wessex, and hopefully that's going to be enough to, yeah, get the job done, I suppose. I think going east for that initial burst of money, I think that's going to be worth it. I don't think that, let's see here. Is it worth it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would give me access to 2 ports as opposed to 3. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's hard to figure it out, but I think that I think I want to go east first. That's gonna be my guess here. I don't know. The Mediterranean is so lucrative. The Ligurian Sea, the Tyrrhenian Sea, the Adriatic. Oh god, that's so much potential. Maybe it is better. Maybe it is better to go south first and aim for the Mediterranean. Put a boat in the North Sea. The English, that's 1, 2, yeah, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully in the meantime, the Aragonese could maybe build another port down here. No, it wouldn't be on this side. I think their Cordoba's port would be over here. But Granada and Morocco could use some ports as well. Yeah, this... I'll cross my fingers. Maybe that's the way to go. Holy smokes, are the Italians attacking the French? Oh, they attacked the French. Okay, so the French are happy. Good for them. But... Huh. Yeah, there must be some Italian boats in the water because we saw those stacks. We didn't get any messages about it. But... it's almost as if like an entire French stack got taken out. That's interesting. Wait, am I allied with the Italians? I am. Huh. That's useful. Now, I'm a little worried that the Germans would take advantage of that now and you know, take Aquitaine. Or, I'm sorry, Toulouse. Again, I like having this French buffer. I do. You know, even though I am allied with the Germans, I'm not that allied with them. Like, you know, I'm like cool with them, but like not. There's, you know, they're still, you know, here, which means they're my enemy. They're ahead of me by 1 point. That means they're my enemy. But no, we're cool. We're cool. Okay, now my king has died from an illness. Jesus, he died. I want to say he died before he hit the age of 57. Yeah, he was at like 55 or something. Okay, all right. So yeah, Prince Richard is now King Richard. My goodness. So keep has been finished here in Normandy. And Anjou. I'm a little worried about this man's... Oh god, that's bad. Oh shit. Yeah, 2 influence. My god. And in addition to that, he still isn't married. Now he's only 19. That's fine. But yeah, he has no... So... Princess Mary, she just came of age, so she's going to be his sister, and then Princess Elizabeth is his aunt. And oh yeah, that's right, the Sicilians are here in Georgia. That's so funny. I love that. All right, let's just go to Armenia. So, I've had this emissary chasing around. Did she get married? She must have got married. He was chasing around an Aragonese princess, and she must have like, she eluded him. I doubt the French would be cool with me marrying their princess, but there's a whole load of Spanish princesses and even Sicilian as well. In fact, we're not allied with the Sicilians. No, we are not. We are allied with the Spanish though. I just want to get a wife for my king as fast as possible. And there are 4 Spanish princesses down here, so hopefully you know, hopefully the Spanish are okay with letting one of them go. In fact, how old is the one that I just requested? 28? Okay, so she's not going to retire in this end turn phase. That would be unfortunate. And let's see, do I want to send 2 princesses to the Middle East? I don't think I need that. You can come down and check out the, yeah, just come down and explore the Iberian Peninsula for me. Yeah, that's fine. And now we are 5 turns away from having the Crusade set, because we're 1 turn away from having the chapter house finished, and then the 4 turns for the Crusade marker. So now it's time for me to start sending these units back. So the Spearmen and these 2 archers, you start making your way. Yeah, we'll leave everyone else. And then you guys start making your way to Anjou. And is there anyone we want to hire? Oh, so there's no mercenaries available. Okay. So there's no mercenaries available in Aquitaine. If any become available in the next turns, they will not be reaching Murcia by the time we're sending that crusade off, so we will not be hiring them. Now the chapter house has been finished here in Murcia. So it's go time. Alright, shipwright is finished here in Aquitaine. And yeah, the Spanish have declined the marriage proposal. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Lord Stanley, who are you? So just the peasant hanging out here. Well, peasant governor, that is, because he is a lord. Pride. Yeah, pride's not good for a governor because that's going to be -2 acumen. So he's going to have to be relieved of his duties. And then he's a believer +1 piety. All right, that's not good enough. Not good enough. All right, who are you, the governor of Aquitaine? Okay, interesting. So even with -2 acumen, he still has 4. Yeah, that's okay, I guess. 4 is like my standard, so that's the bar that I set for myself. So yeah, like unless there's like an obvious upgrade, if there's like someone with 5 just sticking out like a sore thumb, raising their hand up in the air saying pick me, then I'm not going to worry myself too much about it. And here is the crusade marker. So it's going to cost 1,000 florins to start building this. A crusade is as much a popular cause or movement as an army. It is created to drive the church's enemies from a particular province at sword point, and once set forth, it cannot be recalled. Its strength can wax and wane as it proceeds, reflecting both its success and the zeal of the provinces it passes through. Yes, so 4 turns, that one's going to be ready to go. And it's, it's go time. So we're going to be moving up. Let's see here. So 4 turns. All of those units, let's see. Let's leave one of those feared men in Anjou. And let's just make sure. Do I want to send the spearmen along? Yeah. Yeah, the French now, not like having lost that stack that they used to have 2 stacks here, and having lost that 1 stack, that's way less threatening now. So that's very nice. That's very, very nice. And there are mercenaries that I can hire here in Anjou. And since it's time to start hiring them, gosh, I don't want to go broke. Because I still want to be able to hire these guys in Flanders. There's less available, but it's still something, you know? I have 6,985 in the treasury. I could hire these Spanish javelin men here in Brittany as well. So it's going to take 4 turns for that to be finished, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I have to hire these guys. So it's going to be Khwarezmian cavalry. That's a really good heavy cav unit. Honestly, not that good fighting in the desert because they're too heavily armored. So not the ideal crusade unit, I'll be honest, but they are tanks, you know. It's something that can hold the line, and yeah, I'm going to be getting them. Spearmen, urban militia, basic units that I can already train myself, but you know, we may as well get them because they are cheap to hire. And then horse archer is going to be very, very useful in the Middle East. Yeah, because, well, actually the Egyptians don't have any horse archers in tier 1 or tier 2. They don't get horse archers till tier 3s, which is tough for them. But having some light mobile cav units that have low armor is going to be very useful. So definitely want to get those guys. Total hiring cost is going to be 438, so that's not breaking the bank at all. And let's send them on their way. And you can tell that they are mercenaries because they have that little money bags icon right there. So yeah, let's get those guys, and let's get these Spanish javelin men here in Brittany as well. So yeah, basic javelin men. I don't think they even have a small shield, do they? No. But javelins are good against armor, so yeah, let's get these guys. Hire them up. You go to Brittany. And yeah, then we will be moving those mercenaries plus a couple of forces from Brittany into Flanders, and they will be making their way to Mercia in due time. And then down here, my emissary is going to be trying to get the Sicilian princess to marry into the family now that the Spanish have, denied us. So hopefully the Sicilians will say yes. Now, my intention back when my other king, King William II, or whoever was just king a few turns ago, back when he was still alive and he was leading this army here in Anjou, my intentions, as I stated, were to send this general up to lead the crusade. However, I sort of missed the boat on that. Also, when the king died, well, he became the only leader of this army, and now he's going to be remaining here. My other options, if I wanted to send someone up to lead the crusade, now again, the crusade will come with a general, so I don't need to do this, but it's nice having a backup. Now, this 5-star is leading here. There's a 3-star here. 5 loyalty is like not super great. The issue is this, secret blackmailer. So he's going to be losing, is it 2 or 3? I can't quite remember, but he's going to be losing loyalty when this is discovered. So that's not ideal. I think I want him to remain here. The other option is there is a 3-star also in the same stack here. So Odo Borlong, this is one of my historical generals that did pop up in the earlier part of the campaign. And 3 stars is not bad. Captured is just the trait that he came with. Plus 3 morale is good. -1 command isn't great, but he has 3, so he's fine. Also, he's in a unit of Hoblars, which is not an ideal combat unit, mind you, but it's a lightly armored unit, and those are pretty solid for fighting in the desert. Then again, so are the Royal Knights. They are also pretty low armored considerably. I need to check that, actually. I know they have low armor compared to like late game knight units, but are they like low enough for fighting in the desert? I can't quite remember. They're probably fine, but he's the one that doesn't have the secret blackmailer trait, so I'm considering sending him. I just don't have any other real strong options. I want to leave a capable general in every frontier province. And I kind of want to keep my king safe here in Wessex until I can actually make sure he's, married right now. He's still not married. This is my only lifeline to the campaign right now is him. So yeah, and having no sons and having him not be married is making me nervous. In fact, it's making me maybe should get another emissary because, yeah, getting this man married is very important. Of course, he can't just get married on his own, sir. You can't just do this yourself, But, it's nice to be proactive about it. The Egyptians are now the richest, and their sultan here is in Edessa. Okay, that is interesting. Keep has been finished here in Wales, Northumbria, and I saw the Germans attack Toulouse. It looks like they did not succeed. Interesting. Okay. And Sir Odo Borlong, +1 acumen for that general that I just was going to put in command of the crusade. Okay, wow, the French are hanging on here. It looks like there wasn't even a fight, so I think the Germans just feigned an attack, essentially. Okay, all right, that's okay. I'm okay with the French hanging on to their dear life over there. And what are you... Oh, did the Sicilian princess just also, retire or get married off? Okay, fine. Danes, will you please marry my king? Please, 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 please. I feel like the Danes are always my bros, but maybe that's faction dependent. Maybe that's not because of me personally. But let's hope that the Danes are going to be my bros yet again and will marry me. That's what I want. Now it is time for us to buy our mercenaries from Flanders, and yeah, not as many as there were available before. Still, honestly, it's probably okay. This is still probably good enough to get the job done. And you know what? Considering that I wouldn't be able to like hold back, I would just be hiring everyone. I have no restraint when it comes to these things. So it's probably for the best that there's less available, you know? So what do we have here? Saracen infantry. That's ironic. This is going to be the spearmen of the Muslims. So there you go. In fact, I don't even know if they have any yet. It is a tier 2. It's available at a keep level, so the Egyptians could potentially be fielding them pretty soon. They're good. They're very good. They're like as good as, I think they're as good as chivalric sergeants, which is our tier, like the Catholic faction's tier 3s. Vikings, they are a fantastic unit for fighting in the desert because they have low armor, and because they have an axe, they have a bonus versus armor as well. Not that armor is going to be super prevalent in the early part of the campaign, but if they want to like fight up against the Ghulam bodyguards, which is going to be the, you know, the bodyguard unit for the Egyptians, yeah, they will hack them to pieces. Armored spears, another solid just spear unit. Their armor might be a little too heavy for the desert, but again, we're just going for it. Horse archers, again, solid. Khwarezmians, too heavy, but yep, solid. And Bulgarian brigands. It's an archer unit that has the same firing stats as any other archer, but they have different other stats. I can't remember. Trying to remember the differences in all the stats between the different archer units it's tough. I think they have better defense than the Trebizonds, and the Trebizonds have like better attack and charge or something. I don't know. It's tough sometimes, but I think the Bulgarians are better at surviving. Let's look at them. Do they have a shield? No, they do not. I thought they might have a little shield on their arm. Now, what does that say? Poor morale. That's not good. Fast. That's good. Armed with bows. No shit. Yeah, so that doesn't really give us much to work with here, but we are definitely going to be hiring everything except for the Mangonels. 60 support cost. I mean, we're just not going to need it because it's just going to be a fort in Antioch. I mean, shit, I guess I could find out. I should have brought her to Antioch instead of Edessa. I'm assuming, I don't know. My heart tells me it's going to be a fort. If I'm wrong, then perhaps I can hire a Mangonel on my way through again and have it join the Crusades. It will lose men as it gets hoovered up by the Crusade, but it should still be able to be functional, like a functional piece of equipment, I think. Well, check this out. This is something that's rather unusual, I would say. I feel like the Iberian Peninsula is typically a lot more peaceful than it was historically, and the three factions seem to be pretty okay with just kind of minding each other's business. And in this case, the Spanish have taken Cordoba off of the Almohads. Ooh. Yeah, interesting. Okay, let's go over here to Portugal. I wonder what is going on over there. Very cool. And one more turn before this crusade is finished. Gosh, I'm still split on what to do with these boats. Go east or go west? How about I split the difference and go east and west? How about that? So you go here to the North Sea, and we should immediately be getting some income from Friesland. Not much. We're really not making much. 134 now that we're paying the upkeep for all of those guys, but that's only going to be for one more turn. So in the next turn, we will be putting them all in the Crusade, and we'll be gaining all of that upkeep back, which is going to be very, very nice. Yeah, making 134 sucks. We have almost 5,000 in the treasury, which feels good, so we will be able to afford, you know, paying for that Crusade, which is nice. But going back to being able to build buildings again, it's going to feel very nice once this is underway. Okay, the fact that they have a ballista available in Flanders now, I mean, a ballista, that's all I really need to get into a fort. I mean, I can just use archers to shoot the fort down as well. That is an option, but having an artillery piece is kind of a nice thing to have. I'm tempted to get that. It's only 88 to buy it. And as I realized, since I have a boat in the water here in the English Channel and since I have ports, I can just bring any unit from Flanders into Mercia in this very turn. So it's not too late. I actually could do this. I could actually hire that ballista and even those Khwarezmians if I wanted to. That's very tempting. Yeah, let's do that. Let's send them to Mercia. Okay. Last mercenary purchase. No more. Oh, we could get field men at arms here and shoot. Nope, that's... Oh, mounted crossbows, no! See, this is... I shouldn't be checking this because this is giving me that FOMO, you know? It's okay. Feudal men at arms would have been nice because that's the perfect unit for cutting through just a horde of peasants. Spears are good, obviously. Spears, like my high tier spears that I have, like my armored spearmen and my Saracens, like sure, they will beat peasants, but they won't like butcher them as fast as swordsmen will. These guys would be very nice for fighting those units. So yeah, it's too bad, but I will live with my, I'm just gonna live with it. It's okay. Oh, thank goodness. So the Danes have accepted my proposal of a marriage. Oh, that feels good. Yes. I love you, Danes. I love you so much. They always say yes. I wonder what that's about. Like, honestly. It's awesome. Oh, the Spanish have Portugal. Okay, wow. La-di-da. Oh, shit, they got feudal knights? Are those... Were those rebels that they bribed, or are they training... They can't be training feudal knights. They can't be. They can't be. That has to have been rebels that was bribed. Because you need a castle. And I don't think they have a castle yet. Huh. Well, I'm just glad that I'm not at war with them. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how far they've... I want to check out Granada. I wonder if they've taken Granada. Hopefully not. And let's see. And I did check out Antioch in that last turn. And yes, they do have just a fort, just a tier 1 fort in Antioch. So that feels good. But yeah, I gotta keep here unless they're Armenia. Hot damn. All right. Just a bunch of peasants. I'm going to try to get Princess Elizabeth married off. Oh, she's probably... See, 33. I think it's too late. I think I missed my chance. I was going to try to get you married off to the Aragonese family, but... Yeah, see... Can't do that, so I think I've just wasted another princess. Unless yeah, is there like anywhere that she can get to in one turn to marry someone? I don't think so. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Oh well. Being a spinster isn't that bad, is it? And now the crusade marker is finished. So now let's go ahead and launch this at Antioch. So this province currently belongs to the Egyptians, and oh yeah, so it's not just 1,000. The price could change. Interesting. So my advisor suggests that's going to cost 1,250 florins to launch this to secure the Pope's support, essentially. Luckily, I got 3,000 in the treasury or in my bank, so yep, there we go. Down to 1,800. Not a great feeling, but the fact that I can now... So what do we get? Oh, okay, sweet. So first off, only 3 units. Not great. That's like... yeah, 4 or 5 is one thing, but like 3 seems like a pretty small Crusader army. Also the fact that, yeah, we did not get a starred general. Jeez, oh Pete's. All right, that's also not great. Knights Templar, cool. It's interesting, they have a sword. They don't have a lance. So now that makes me wonder, do Knights Templar actually have the same stats as chivalric knights? I thought that all crusading knights do, but the fact that they are equipped with swords, not just on this photo, but also like down here in this little icon, this little symbol, it also looks like he's wielding a sword, not a lance. So I would like to check that actually. I don't know. But still, he's a knight. The Knights Templar are a warrior elite, seen as more fearsome than other knights in Christendom. On the battlefield, they may be the finest European cavalry, able to charge home against tremendous odds and still triumph. But while they are brave, some express doubts about their religious purity. Well, let's not talk about that, shall we? And then Order for Soldiers. Very good spearmen. These are equivalent to chivalric sergeants. So I think it's the same stats as the Saracen infantry, I think. Not everyone has the social rank to become a knight in a fighting order. Instead, these lesser men are taken on to fight in support of the knights. Often they do very well as they are motivated by the prospect of salvation and promotion. They are well armored and equipped with spears. Perfect. And then fanatics. These are kind of the peasant units of the crusade. Simple, uneducated people are often willing to follow a charismatic leader who promises them heaven. Existence for many is a hell of backbreaking work and grinding poverty. Fighting and dying with unquestioning righteous faith is a chance of everlasting life in paradise, and so religious fanatics are inspired. Yeah, despite the fact that they're like pretty crappy, like pretty weak defense, yes, they have good morale, good charge. I don't think that's super amazing. I would have to double check. I think they can pack a punch. They're just like guys in robes with clubs. But I do think that they can pack a punch, but then they will die in droves. Just because they have really low armor and defense stats, no shields, so they're not trying to survive. They're just trying to, they're fanatics. They're just throwing themselves into battle, trying to die essentially. So not a super great yield, but you know what? We have a unit of good knights, a 40-man unit of knights, dare I say. So, and these are my 3 armies that I have gathered. More than I thought that I would. That's good. Yeah. So let's. Once an army joins crusade, it must remain a part of it until the crusade is completed. Proceed. Yes. So yeah, we can't break up the crusade into multiple parts. It's, you know, once they're set, they're set. So yeah, it's a good haul, I would say. And it can start marching immediately. Yes, it can. So, interesting. I don't have to go through Flanders because I have the boats in the water. That's cool. Well, yeah, I would rather do that then. Let's just go straight to Friesland. Yeah. And like you might, wonder why not go Saxony because it's closer. Well, if I can hoover up more troops and make this kind of a longer journey, that would be preferable. So yeah, how's the zeal here in Friesland? 62 and 53 in Saxony. Yep. Friesland's the better choice. Perfect. Yeah, that's exciting. Oh, and would you look at that. Now that I'm not paying all of that upkeep, I'm back to making money again. 2,000. Heck yeah. Oh, thank God. Oh, that feels good. So, I suppose I should spend this money that I got 1,800. So let's spend it. Let's go ahead and build as many shipwrights as I can. I think that's like the only thing that matters right now is getting boats in the water. Yeah. So 400 there. 400. Let's get the ballista towers. This is going to be that second tier defensive structure for Flanders. I don't know. I mean, the French are so... It's fun to get cool buildings, but right now I want to catch up. Let's get the shipwright going here. I already have a shipwright there. And is there anything? So in Mercia, I want to go in a different direction with Mercia, just because I think at this point, can I get this? Can I get the? Maybe not. I was hoping I could get the building that allows me to train inquisitors. Why can't I? I'm curious what requirement am I missing? Do I need a castle to get that? Prerequisite for a monastery. So the monasteries, that might be where I train the inquisitors. Because I want to get inquisitors eventually so that I can basically keep the zeal high in front of me as I move my next crusades out. So should I just well, I can't afford it. It costs 2,000 to start working on a castle. And that takes 12 turns to build. Should I cancel my buildings so that I can start working on a castle here in Mercia in the next turn? I did just check out the Wikipedia just to make sure and double check, but yes, I will be needing a castle to get the monastery. And I think I want to go in that direction. I think I want to go all in on this crusading effort in this campaign just to really like get a feel for it and to, you know, test out all of the, you know, abilities of it, I suppose. And so, yeah, I will wait. I will wait one turn and get enough money to start building this castle instead of building those shipwrights. I'm building boats from 2 provinces, and that's okay. And I'm making an income off of Friesland, and that's also okay. One more boat, one more turn, and I will 2 more turns, and I will have a boat in Skagerrak, and then yeah, another boat. I'll have a boat in the Baltic Sea. So you know that's I think an okay amount of progress. And then same thing down here. You know, we will be trading with a couple ports soon enough. So I'm going to play one more turn just so that I can, and I'm not going to play the full turn. I want to just play the end turn so that I can put that castle queue in to Mercia, just so that I don't forget. I don't want to. Okay, so yeah, crusade arrives in Friesland. Your crusade is passing through German lands, and your messenger has reported that you are welcome to pass through his land. Okay, yes. So they are not going to fight me. Tancred de Normandy. I think this is my first historical general. He has died of old age, but it doesn't mean anything because his captain's going to be taking over the command of the unit, and he's going to have the same exact stats. I think the only difference is that Tancred was married into my family, I believe, and the new captain will not be. I think that's the only thing that does not carry over. Let's double check that. Huh, he's still married into the family. Okay, that's weird. Oh no, it's not you, it's you. Yeah, so you're not married into the family. Yeah. Lord Hastings. You are the new Tancred de Normandy. Interesting, okay. And there's no age. Yeah, we don't know your age. Okay. Cool, so what units did we get from the Germans? Anything? So I can move to Franconia from Friesland, but I get units from... Friesland. Looks like I got some feudal men-at-arms. Yeah, these weren't mine before. Feudal sergeants. Yep, those are new as well. And... peasants? Yeah, I got some peasants, I guess. Oh, and some urban militia. So these units are very small. Only 10 men and 22 men, so that's going to be growing over time. It's interesting that some of my units that were in the crusade from the beginning have lost men. Why has that happened? I know crusades do diminish over time as they move through like lower zeal provinces, but like, why is this happening in a province with 62% zeal? You know, like my mercenary units are losing men. That's so weird. Oh, I got a unit of Royal Knights. Only 4 men, but you know, that should grow over time as well. But yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah, like my mercenary units are losing men. My crusade units, like my Knights Templar and my Ordo Foot Soldiers are losing men. Yeah, that's so weird to me. Huh. Yeah, that's too bad. Well, let's just keep moving, I guess. What do we got here? And holy shit, 96% zeal in Franconia. It's too bad that they don't really have much here. It's just their Emperor's unit. So I probably won't be getting much from Franconia. It's too bad. If they had some armies here, I would like hoover up the entire goddamn thing. That would be dope. But yes, I just wanted to make sure that when I start the next episode that I have this castle started here in Mercia so that I know I can remind myself of like what I was doing. And then let's see. Yeah, one more turn before those bows are finished. In Aquitaine and Wessex, that's fine. And still, yeah, making 2,000, that's fine. Also perfect. Okay. So the fact that, yeah, 25, start making some kids, bud. I'm nervous. All right. I'm nervous. you got to make some children. All right, that's all. That's your only job. And, let me run your empire, and the Crusades are going to be handling themselves as well. But you know what? That is all going to have to wait until next time. As always, I hope you have enjoyed this one, and thank you very much for watching. This has been Conasep playing Medieval Total War. Thank you very much, and goodbye.